Hey, what's up, guys? How we doing today? Hey, I wanted to clear the air about a few things, because I was sitting here taking a walk in nature, just like that tip I gave you to do today. And I was thinking, red tide and climate change, it's a lot alike. Both it's a proven fact that it's natural, and both it's a proven fact that human impacts are making major contributions to the speeding up of both. Climate change, for example, guys, when people tell me they don't believe in climate change, that's like trying to convince a scientist that the earth is flat. We're here to get knowledge, right? Because knowledge is powerful. Global warming, climate change, it's a real thing. We know about the Ice Age. We know about the last tropical era when the dinosaurs were here. We know that there's been more than just two, okay? It goes in a clock, guys. It goes in a circle. However, human impacts are speeding that up. A lot of scientists are actually suggesting that we've sped up climate change by about 700 to 900 years so far. Which, believe it or not, is not that big a deal if we start making a conscious difference. But it is a very big deal to a homie of mine named Zooxanthellae, that algae that keeps coral alive. Because this climate change is why we're experiencing so much coral bleaching around the world. And think about it. Corals have been around for over 550 million years, and they've been through several ice ages and several global warmings. So why are they dying this time around? Maybe it's because this is the only global warming that they've gone through with human beings, and we're speeding it up a little bit too fast. That algae doesn't have time to adjust, and he's just like you and I. When we get overworked, we get unproductive. Coral starts getting sick, right? Makes coral bleaching. Red tide, it's a lot alike. It's a very natural dinoflagellate called K. brevis. But with human impacts, he's able to grow to exponential amounts. There at Siesta Key, we're experiencing 700 times the concentration of K. brevis than what would be considered natural or normal. Of course, we've had bad tides in the past, bad red tides, of course, but nothing like this. Nothing continuous to where it gets worse and worse every single year. So we have to think about those human impacts, guys. And what I'm talking about is sewage, agricultural runoff, as well as our simple landscape fertilizing runoff. We have a nitrate and phosphate problem here in the state of Florida, and a phosphate problem we should not have, being that it's the largest phosphate deposit in the entire world is Florida. That's why companies are all over the world. A company called Mosaic. I was talking to a guy just yesterday. He's from Africa, and what he's been going through with Mosaic taking over in Africa. I can't imagine what they're doing to people in countries like that when they can sneak things over on Americans. Because when I say raise your hand, if you've ever heard of the company Mosaic, I don't ever get many hands raised. This is the phosphate company destroying our state. Like I keep telling you guys, 70% of the phosphate used in America comes from Central Florida, just north of Lake Okeechobee. 25% of the world's phosphate comes from Central Florida, just north of Lake Okeechobee. And if we're dealing with nitrates and phosphate problems, I don't think it takes an algae scientist to think that maybe it's not just the application of the fertilizer, but the mining and the making of it as well. I've driven by these gypsum stacks where you can just see the dust, the phosphate blowing as they're mined, where you see the gypsum waste. They're supposed to keep it wet, that way it doesn't happen. You'd think with all that water they're stealing from under our nose that they would go ahead and do that as well. But guys, think about this. When people tell you that red tide is natural and that you're a fool for thinking that humans are influencing it, tell them this. Corn was around before phosphate was, and fertilizers. but when we put it on the corn, it sure grows faster, right? I'm imagining it works the same way with fertilizers, being that they go off warmth, sunlight, and nutrition, and we're providing the main two. You cannot sit there and say that human beings are not having an impact. So it might be a way to get to tell somebody just about how climate change works as well, guys. You know, we are having impact. So what's the solution? The solution to pollution is not dilution. That's what Mosaic will tell you in a nutshell. What we need to do is work consciously on raising awareness. I do not think pollution is the problem, guys. I think apathy of pollution is the problem. I'm not afraid of the few people out here to destroy and loot and pollute. I'm afraid of everybody else who has no idea what's going on, not being able to help. The only thing necessary for evil to succeed is when good people do nothing. So keep them chins up, Florida. We got this. Love ya.